Up until World War II, this country had a reasonably understood system, a widely understood system. The Congress had certain responsibilities and the president had others. The Congress's responsibilities were first to declare war, and second, to provide the money to fight a war. The president, as commander-in-chief, had other responsibilities, but the two of them came together. And when both sides, the executive branch of government and the legislative branch of government, felt that they were following the common interests of the nation, which is not necessarily true today, as I think we all recognize. But at a time when that did happen and was consistent with American policy, there was no conflict, because both sides essentially had the same idea about the threat to America's security interests and what each side could do to protect the nation. And there were 5 times in American history when declarations of war were proclaimed. And the first one goes back to 1812, the Brits, 1846, Mexicans, 1898, Spanish, World War I and World War II. Since World War II, the United States, as we know, has been involved in one war after another. And if you begin to explore the reasons why we got into each one of these wars, there are specific reasons and then there are overarching reasons. And one of the overarching reasons was that after World War II, we suddenly found ourselves in a nuclear world. And that had a profound effect upon policymaking, because people in Congress felt that this was a decision. If you go to war and if you may have to use nuclear weapons, that's a big-time decision. And we'll let the president handle that, and we will deal with our responsibilities, like legislation, and there's a large responsibility to make sure the proper laws are passed for this nation. That started as a trickle, but began to become a flow as we got into just the pre-9/11 period, but certainly post-9/11. A second factor was the rise of the Cold War. And in the midst of the Cold War, our thinking became overly simplified. If the Russians were in favor of something, we generally opposed it, and vice versa. And if the Russians were making a move into Latin America, we had to block it. It wasn't that we had to block it for reasons that related to specific American interests, except in that broad context of the Cold War.